I want to tell you a few things that are a little closer to home. There's a young man in our church. A lot of you will know him, Joshua Kelly. He was 17 years old. He came out to our internship, and he got so gripped by this message of the Father's Cup. And the very next, I think it was the next year or two later, he started going with his grandfather, Gordon Hofer, to minister. Do you know Gordon Hofer? That's Corey Hofer's father. Yes, you know him, Brenda. Well, Gordon looked at his grandson, Joshua Kelly. I'm telling you, Joshua Kelly would be a great preacher in this church. He's 20 now. But Joshua was preaching. In fact, he would tell me a lot. I'd get emails from him and say, I was preaching the Father's Cup, and people, I couldn't even give the altar call, and people started running up to the altar. He started having that happen in his meetings. But then, and miracles, he has miracles in his meetings. So his grandfather, Gordon Hofer, who had been in ministry for 45 years, he looked at his grandson and he said, what happened to you? His grandson's always had a call on his life. If you know him, you know he's got a call on his life. Always set apart for God. But he didn't have a message that was burning in him. And so the grandfather said, son, what happened to you? He said, I came out to the camp and I read these books and I got this message and now I'm burning with the Father's Cup. And now I'm preaching it every chance I can get. And the grandfather said, well, I want to learn about that. And so he came out to our camp and he bought all the books. And he went home, and this is Christmas holidays. And Corey, his daughter, is telling me this later. She said he would walk through the house crying and just say, God, why didn't I know this? Why didn't I know about the Father's Cup? You know, we do know that Jesus took the wrath, sort of. We know it. But I don't want to go into all the details of this, but the scholars have used intellectual language that was over our heads. And Jesus didn't use that. He didn't talk about justice satisfied. He talked about the Father's Cup. That's what he called it. Remember when Peter tried to whip out his sword and cut off Malchus's ear? And Jesus said, put your sword away, Peter. Am I not to drink the cup the Father has given me to drink? That's John 18, I believe 20. And so this grandfather is seeing all this and reading all this and learning about the Father's Cup and letting it go into his heart. Now he goes home. And a week later he called me. He said, Dr. Sandy, I've been in ministry for 45 years. He said, I was preaching about the Father's Cup. And he said, I couldn't even give an altar call. People were running up to the altar and throwing themselves on the floor and weeping and giving themselves to God and repenting for neglecting the cross. He said, Dr. Sandy, in 45 years, I've never seen anything like this. Can you imagine? You've been in ministry 45 years and now you've discovered a key that's absolutely transforming the people where he goes and preaches. A week later, he called me again. He said, Dr. Sandy, I was preaching again on the Father's Cup. And he said, my interpreter kept trying to interpret, but she couldn't because she was crying so hard. He said, finally, when he finished, he said, she threw her hands over her face and just sobbed. He said, Dr. Sandy, in 45 years of ministry, I've never seen anything like this. Now, Josh Kelly goes to our church. I got to show you this one. This young man, his name's Anton. You probably don't even know him, but he goes to our church.
Doctor, I just got back from Indonesia, and then I tell you the truth. I mean, there is a powerful meeting. One of the power meeting that when we were in the Bible school, about 11 of them. In the middle of our teaching, I first place I asked them, have you ever heard about the message of the cross, about the Father Cup? They say no. So tell us about it. So we start telling about the glory of the Lamb and then share about the Father Cup and what God did for them. And when we start share about that, only in 5 minutes, some of them already start cry out, weeping, cry out loud, and then we have to stop.
I want to hear. I want to hear those cries.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, we can't remember. We can't look at their faces.
Yeah.
They might get killed if we see their faces. So don't show it where they can see it.
So this is the sound. They're all weeping, cry out. They're just like, mainly they ask the repent. They say, Lord, forgive us for not telling the message of the cross. And they. After that they repent, and from that they get right with God, and they promise from that moment they will start share the gospel, the true cross, through the Father cup.
Didn't you say something like this happened with pastors too?
Yeah, this happened. You know, like in one of the meetings, is all of them pastor. They all weeping. They all cry out.
Now, what are they weeping about?
They're weeping about the God. First of all, God took their hell, and what happened? The Father cry out to see the Son, to see Jesus Christ give their life for them.
Yeah.
And that's why the weeping, because they've been preaching about I don't know what kind of sermon, but they never see the fire of God. Look, see.
Yeah, but we can't look.
Oh,
Remember,
okay.
you told me they might get
You can hear
attacked.
this is the sound of some of the pastor. I mean,
Yeah,
all of the pastor
crying, yeah,
cry
that's
out,
awesome.
weeping. They just get right with God. Their heart been pierced, and they say, "Wow, thank you for bring that." They told us, "Thank you for restore our first love back with God."
Yeah.
and
It's the
they
cross that does it.
yeah, the cross. The message of the cross. So I tell you, thank you so much for Dr. Sandy, because this,
When he first went to those pastors, they were looking at him like, "Who are you, this young guy, telling us, coming here to tell us something?" And then look at what happened. They're weeping. They're crying out. And those were pastors. First were Bible school students, and then they were pastors, weeping because they were learning about the Father's cup. I'm not making fun of him. He's so precious. He's from Indonesia. Look for him at church. He'll be there. Praise God.